Akira is an introvert who keeps to himself at school. He reads an Isekai manga during recess to pass the time. He tries to take his mind off things, but he has a strange feeling that something bad is about to happen. Suddenly, his phone glitches and black ink appears on the ceiling of the classroom. The ink forms a magical circle that teleports the students to a strange place. Everyone is relieved they are still alive, but they wonder where they have been teleported to. A priest informs them that their king demands to speak with them, and then steps aside for the king to speak. The students demand an explanation, but the priest orders them to be silent and listen to the king. The king thanks the students for answering his call from a distant realm. He reveals that they are now in a world called Murugan, and they are presently in the largest nation on the human continent called Redis. The king explains that they are under attack by the demons, so they sought a hero from another world who possesses the power to defeat the demon lord. Akira realizes he is in a world that is similar to the ones he reads about in his Isekai stories. The priest announces that they want to identify the hero among the students using a crystal ball. He points out that there can only be one hero among them, so he calls them forward to be tested. Waki steps up and places his hand on the crystal ball. The priest instructs him to use his mind to ask for his status, and the crystal ball will reveal his class. Waki obeys, and the crystal ball reveals that he is just a level 1 animal trainer. Waki is disappointed by this result, but the priest points out that his stats exceed those of an average person in their world. He assures him that he will go down as a legend, just like the hero, and Waki feels better. Yuki steps up next, and the crystal ball reveals that she is a level 1 disenchanter. Tomoya volunteers next, and the crystal ball displays that he is a level 1 knight. Shiori checks her class next and finds out that she is a level 1 healer. The priest reveals that everyone can see their status without touching the crystal ball if they say the status command. The whole class tries it out, and their class descriptions appear on a screen. Nanase informs Akira that he is a wind mage, and he wonders what class Akira was given. Akira replies that he is an assassin, and Nanase isn't surprised because he never noticed he was in their class until that day. Akira zones out of the conversation as he notices a huge difference between his stats and those of the person being screened by the crystal ball. He tries to understand why his stats are much higher, since everyone was teleported to the world at the same time. Tsukasa steps up to the crystal ball, and it reveals that he is the hero. Nanase isn't surprised because Tsukasa is athletic and smart, but Akira is shocked because his stats are higher than those of the proclaimed hero. Nanase urges Akira to step up and check his stats next. Akira hesitates because he doesn't know much about this new world. He doesn't want to reveal his abnormally high stats for fear of the unknown, but he realizes he has no choice. He notices that he possesses the ability to conceal his presence, so he decides to activate it. Nanase looks back to inform Akira that it's their turn to be screened, but he can't find him, so he steps up alone to get tested. The priest reveals that they will provide the students with equipment that suits their class now that the appraisal exercise is over. He directs them to a room, and Akira follows silently behind them. Akira passes a knight commander, and the commander detects his presence, but keeps it a secret. Akira walks down the hallway and notices a camera hidden in the walls. He becomes suspicious because they are being spied on. He finds a secluded room and picks up a cloak to suit his class as an assassin. He decides to sneak out the window and scouts the castle for information. He climbs to the top of the castle easily, but suddenly hears voices coming from the king's study, so he activates his concealment spell. He eavesdrops on a conversation between the king and the princess. The king is pleased that their plan is progressing smoothly. He reminds the caretaker to keep the students away from the castle archives so they don't learn about their plan. The caretaker acknowledges the king's instruction and walks away. Akira slowly sneaks up on the king and draws his dagger. He thinks about killing the king and stopping their plans, but decides against it at the last minute and returns to his room. The next day, the students are treated to a banquet. Akira moves among them with his concealment spell active and steals some food to eat. He wonders if he should disable his spell and inform the class of what he witnessed the previous night. He tries to think of a way to convince them that he is telling the truth because he is certain they won't believe him. Tsukasa suddenly stands up and gives a grand speech. He advises everyone to use their powers to help the people of their new world, since they were blessed with supernatural abilities when they were teleported there. He asks them to lend him a hand so they can defeat the demon lord together. Everyone agrees to help Tsukasa, and Akira realizes that he is the only one who knows that the king and the princess aren't their allies. After breakfast, the class steps out to the training grounds, and the knight commander introduces himself as Saran. He also introduces Gilles as his vice. He reveals that he will train them for a month, and then they will be taken to a dungeon to test their abilities. The class thanks him for generously offering to train them, while Akira decides to continue scouring the castle for more intel. Saran suddenly places Gilles in charge of the students' training and walks off to tail Akira. Akira goes to the fountain in the courtyard, but Saran suddenly calls out to him. Akira assumes that his concealment spell deactivated after reaching its maximum duration, but Saran reveals that his concealment is still active. He explains that he has special eyes that can perceive temperature, which allows him to see through his concealment. Akira realizes he has a problem on his hands and prepares to kill Saran if necessary. Saran waves off Akira's worries and assures him that his secret will never reach the king's or the princess's ears. Akira is surprised because he expected Saran to be loyal to the king. Saran reveals that things are more complicated than that. He sits down with Akira, and Akira reveals that he is searching for the castle archives because he knows nothing about this new world. Saran wonders what level his concealment skill is, and Akira replies that it is maxed out. However, he points out that his other skills are at level 1, and he has no idea how to increase them. Saran reveals that he won't find the answers in the archives, so he offers to teach him what he needs to know. Akira decides to tell Saran the real reason he is searching for the archives. He reveals that he needs to find a way to get back to his world because he has a family waiting for him. He wonders if Saran has a solution, but Saran admits that he can't help Akira with that request. He points out that Akira will only find a way to return if he becomes strong enough to take down anyone who tries to stop him. He offers to train him, but Akira reveals that he doesn't like accepting favors for free. Saran asks for tales about his old world as a repayment. Akira accepts his offer. They begin training, and Saran gives Akira more information about his world. He reveals that there are demons, elves, and beast folk present in the world, but they reside in other continents. Akira doubts that the training will be useful, but Saran points out that he can only upgrade his skills by training, while killing monsters upgrades his class. Several weeks later, Gilles and Saran discuss their training progress in their strategy room. Gilles scolds Saran for leaving the bulk of the training to him and focusing solely on Akira, but Saran reveals that he can't help it because the stories of Akira's world are fascinating. He reminds Gilles that the first hero was also from Akira's world. He also points out that Akira's conceal skill is maxed out and cameras can't capture him. Gilles is surprised to hear this because only the first hero has a maxed out skill when he first arrived. Akira suddenly knocks on the door, so Gilles leaves so they can have a private conversation. Akira presents Saran with a book and reveals that he was sneaking into the archives to find more intel when he stumbled upon it. Saran reveals that the book is about a coup. He admits that he wrote the book and disguised it as a recipe book in the archives, but he knew Akira would eventually find it. He explains that their king is broken, and he would do anything to change the rules of their present world. Saran would love to put an end to his reign, but his oath as a knight to the royal family won't allow him to go through with it. Akira realizes he is in the best position to carry out the coup since he has no ties to this new world. He confesses that he snuck into the king's study the first night he arrived and tried to kill him after he overheard their plans, but he couldn't do it. Saran commends Akira for making the right choice. He points out that murder is a huge burden to bear. Though he acknowledges that Akira is an assassin, he points out that he shouldn't make murder a duty. He advises him to avoid killing anyone if he wants to return to his world as the same innocent boy that left it. Akira admits that his mother and his sister would be disappointed if he returned home as a killer. He realizes that Saran keeps giving him good advice, so he confronts him and demands to know why he keeps looking after him. Saran reveals that he is guiding him because he expects much from him. He noticed him from the first day he arrived with his classmates. Instead of moving with the crowd, he chose to use his brain to decide his next course of action when he realized that he was in an unfavorable position. Saran asks for Akira's assistance to carry out his peaceful coup before he returns to his world. Akira promises to think about his request and get back to him with an answer. 1 week later, Saran gathers the class outside the castle walls and sends them off to the great labyrinth of Continen. The villagers come out in numbers to send them off. Akira walks behind his classmates, but he notices a suspicious person glaring at them from an alley. He confronts her and wonders why she is giving them the stink eye. She explains that they don't deserve to be treated as heroes because the village sacrificed a lot to summon them to their world. Akira doesn't know what she is talking about. The stranger walks off, but she asks him to come looking for her when he finds out what she means. Akira returns to the expedition party, and they enter the dungeon. They explore the dungeon, but they get overwhelmed by the traps and monsters. Akira suggests retreating, and Saran agrees with him. He activates his skill and uses a single strike to wipe out the monster. He signals everyone to run for the floor exit, but when they do, they find a horde of monsters waiting for them. He remembers a smoke bomb that the princess gave him before they left, because it would help him get out of a sticky situation. He brings out the bomb and throws it at the monsters, but it just summons a minotaur. Akira is surprised because a minotaur shouldn't be on the upper floors. He shakes off his shock and engages the minotaur in battle. He jumps behind it and tries to stab it with his dagger, but it breaks on contact. Akira returns to his classmates. Tsukasa tries to assist Akira, but Akira asks him to stand down because his arms are broken. Tsukasa reveals that he can't just sit back and watch because he is the designated hero who is supposed to protect the class. Akira points out that they can take care of themselves because they have been training hard for weeks, so he can save his strength to protect the people of this world. Akira realizes that Tsukasa is worrying so much because he has been cursed, so he asks Yuki to dispel the curse so that he returns to engage the Minotaur with Saran. He informs Saran that he is resorting to his secret technique for the sake of their survival. Saran decides to provide an opening, so he asks Akira to wait for his signal. He unleashes a lightning flash to pin down the Minotaur, and Akira activates his shadow magic behind it. He creates a shadow black hole and extends tentacles towards the Minotaur. Saran tries to keep the Minotaur immobilized until Akieya's tentacles reach it, but it breaks out of his magic barrier. The Minotaur strikes at Saran with its axe, but Akira stops the attack with his tentacles. More tentacles pierce through the Minotaur, and Akira uses that as leverage to pull it into his shadow hole. He pulls the Minotaur until it is submerged to its neck, and then closes the hole to sever its head. Akira begins to lose control of his shadow tentacles, and his classmates step back in fear. Saran goes over to Akira and advises him to calm down and keep a cool head. Akira stops panicking, and he regains control of his shadow tentacles. He drags the tentacles back into the hole and closes it. Saran notes that using his shadow magic causes severe mental stress. Akira isn't worried about that. He is just glad that they survived such a terrifying encounter. They return to the castle, and Saran invites Akira out to the fountain for a chat. He thanks him for saving their lives, but Akira points out that they would have died if he hadn't helped him stop his magic from going berserk. Saran is cautious of Akira's shadow magic extra skill, because he had never heard of it before. He warns Akira to be careful how he uses it, because it is hard to control and it drains his energy. He advises him not to use it except it is necessary. Akira appreciates his advice. Saran changes the topic and informs Akira that he brought him a gift. He presents him with a katana and informs him that the first hero forged the sword himself. Akira wonders why Saran is handing him the sword instead of giving it to the hero. Saran points out that the hero already has his holy sword, so he doesn't need it. He also points out that the king will notice if the hero is carrying the sword around. Akira can't see why that would be an issue, so Saran confesses that he stole it from the armory. Akira decides to stop asking questions, and he accepts the sword. He is curious about the katana's name, so Saran directs him to look at its hilt. Akira unsheathes the sword and discovers it is named the God of Night Sword. He realizes there are more inscriptions on the sword, which is a message from the first hero, hoping that the sword serves him well. Akira is so inspired by the hero's sincerity that he wishes he had met him before he passed. Saran also wishes the same thing. Since they're talking about the hero, Saran recalls that their present hero is still suffering from the vicious curse that was placed on him. He suspects that the princess is behind it, so he gives Akira some clues. Akira rushes over to the princess's room and catches her in the act of manipulating Tsukasa. He destroys her magic crystal to free him from her hold. The princess scolds Akira for lacking courtesy because he snuck into her room without permission. Akira points out that he doesn't need courtesy to deal with a witch. He wonders why she is harboring such evil despite looking so innocent. The princess reveals that she is simply carrying out the king's orders. Akira points out that she doesn't have to follow his orders if they are not morally acceptable. The princess repeats that she has to do everything to please the king, and Akira realizes she is a brainwashed slave. He leaves her room and she goes over to her cabinet to check on the other magic crystals she has for the heroes. Akira returns to Saran and points out that he was correct. Saran realizes that the king still hasn't given up his evil agenda. He figures out that Akira revealed himself to the princess to destroy the crystal. He warns him to stay out of the castle because she will order a search for him since she knows nothing about him, unlike the other heroes. Akira is surprised that Saran is giving him advice instead of scolding him for revealing his identity. Saran understands that Akira made the mistake because of his inexperience as a youth. He waves it off because it is his duty as an adult to correct the mistake. Akira is so impressed by Saran's wisdom that he hopes adults in his previous world were more like him. Saran points out that he can take him along when he returns to his world if he really holds him in such high esteem. Akira goes to the forest to spend the night and wakes up to some noise in the morning. He rushes to the location to find Tsukasa gathering with his classmates and some knights. He is relieved that his curse is broken, but he notices his long face, so he wonders what is going on. Tsukasa reveals that something has happened to Saran. Akira spots Saran lying on the floor at the center of the crowd. He pushes his way to the center and sees a dagger buried in his chest. He wonders what happened, but the heroes order him to stop the drama because he's the one responsible for his death. Akira wonders what they are talking about when he notices that it is his dagger sticking out of Saran's chest. Akira tries to remind them that his dagger disappeared during their battle against the Minotaur, but they don't buy it because of his suspicious disappearances. He realizes that the princess set him up, and she's now manipulating his classmates against him. The king orders Akira's execution as justice for Saran's assassination. The knights attack Akira, but he activates his presence concealment skill and approaches Gilles. Gilles informs him that the Night Ravens assassinated Saran. They are the king's private guards, and he's their next target. He reveals that Saran left some provisions for him in his room. He advises him to take them and leave the city. Akira heads over to Saran's room. He takes the provision and walks out of the city, but he pays tribute to Saran one last time before leaving. Later that night, the princess informs the king that all the students are under her control, except Tsukasa. They can now attack the east once they have justification for war. The king is satisfied with this news, but he orders the Night Ravens to keep pursuing Akira to make sure he doesn't return to interrupt their plans. The next day, Akira recalls a conversation he had with Saran. Saran explained that the best place to hide while on the run is in a dungeon, but he advises him to plan properly for it because it has limited water. Akira goes to a dungeon and continues recalling the conversation. Saran also explained that the best way to level up his skills is by exploring the dungeon, because he will face stronger monsters the deeper he goes. Akira wondered why no one else went so deep into the dungeon, and Saran explained that the monsters are so dangerous that even his high-level concealment skill won't keep him safe from them. He advised him to increase his assassination skill so he can mask his scent, heat signature, and footsteps to avoid detection. Akira realizes he has a lot of work to do, so he begins to explore the dungeon. He clears each floor and keeps going deeper to encounter stronger monsters. Saran's advice keeps ringing in his head. Back then, he assured him that his training would be worth it because he would unlock a new skill once he got to level 100. Akira was intrigued by the idea of getting a new skill, so Saran ordered him to explore the labyrinth of Kentonen and take out the bosses he finds after every 10 floors. Akira breezes through the floors and arrives at the 50th floor. Saran told him that when he reaches the final floor and enters the boss's room, he can't leave until he kills the labyrinth boss, or the labyrinth boss kills him. He pointed out that his abilities will increase exponentially if he manages to win. Akira opens the door and a chimera attacks him immediately. Akira manages to dodge the claw strike, but as he rolls out of the way, the serpent tail of the chimera spits venom that hits his legs and makes him lose his balance. The chimera uses that opportunity to sink its claws into Akira's exposed back and throws him across the labyrinth floor. Akira makes up his mind to survive because he has to avenge Saran's death and return home. He decided to stop holding back and go all out. He activates his shadow magic and rips the monster apart with its sharp tentacles. He collapses and loses consciousness after he defeats the boss. His shadow magic detects that he has sustained critical injuries, so it activates recovery mode using his emergency mana storage. The next day, the students gather in the dining hall. Tsukasa suggests they go take down the Demon Lord, but his classmates refuse to help him. Tsukasa notices that the princess's curse has taken over them, just like Commander Gilles informed him. He decides to do it himself, but Kyosuke offers to assist him. Some students also offer to help him, and they leave the castle. When they leave the city, Tsukasa expresses relief because they got out without any confrontation. Kyosuke reminds him that the king tasked them to eliminate the Demon Lord, so it would have been weird if he stopped them. Tsukasa wonders why they all offered to help him with his quest, and Yuki reveals that everyone who offered to help him isn't under the spell of the princess. She reminds him that she is a disenchanter, so she is resistant to curses, and she can also sense when someone has been cursed. Kyosuke confesses that his actions may have released them from the princess's curse. His memories are vague, but he recalls destroying several crystals in an unfamiliar room with a katana. He doesn't know how the katana got into his possession. They begin their quest, and Gilles watches over them from a rampart. He is pleased that his manipulation skill was strong enough to control Kyosuke and help him break some curses. He is glad he carried out Saran's final wish and silently bids the heroes farewell. Kyosuke is eager to meet up with Akira because he feels bad for staying hidden instead of sticking up for him. He recalls when they first met in their former world. Kyosuke stumbled on Akira while he was working as a contractor on the side. Akira didn't want anyone to know his alternate identity, so Kyosuke vowed to keep it a secret. They found out their sisters were best friends, so they decided to become friends. Akira wakes up in the labyrinth and wonders why she had a dream about Kyosuke. He hopes he is doing fine and their sisters are doing well in their absence. He gets back to his feet expecting some serious pain, but he's surprised because it feels like he just got out of a premium spa treatment. He pulls up his stats and notices that his HP is almost full, and his shadow skill leveled up twice from a single use. He can't understand why his skills are leveling up so rapidly, but he decides to keep exploring deeper into the labyrinth. He encounters a slime on the 75th floor and he cuts it down. It dissolves and reveals an elf. Akira was not expecting to see an elf come out of the dead slime. He uses his world eye to appraise the elf, but her entire life flashes before his eyes and threatens to overwhelm him. He quickly dispels the skill before he loses his sight. He makes a mental note to avoid using that skill because it's too dangerous. Amelia wakes up, and Akira wonders if she is hurt. She claims she is fine, but Akira doesn't believe her. He got a glimpse of her stats, and her HP was barely 2%. He notices that she has world eyes too as she appraises him. She wonders where they are, and Akira reveals that they are on the 75th floor of the labyrinth. He scolds her for appraising him without his permission, but Amelia blacks out before he can finish his sentence. He takes her to a secluded part of the labyrinth and wraps her in a blanket so she can recover. She wakes up after a while, and Akira gives her some water to help with the fever. She admits that she is too hungry to return to sleep, so Akira hands her a serving of hot porridge. She digs in, and Akira is pleased to see she has an appetite. He is certain she will recover well. Amelia is curious about how he gained so much experience in caring for sick people, and he reveals that he acquired it by tending to his ill mother. Amelia notices the number on the wall, and Akira explains that they are on level 69. Amelia recalls he told her they were on level 75, so she wonders why he came back up instead of continuing down the labyrinth to level up his skill. Akira reveals that he had to come back because that was the nearest floor with a watering hole where he could tend to her. Amelia lies back down, but she admits that no one has ever gone out of their way to help her like this before, despite being royalty. Akira decides to get some sleep too and activates his sensors to keep him safe. When they wake up, they continue down the labyrinth until they get to floor 80. Akira wonders why Amelia is following him around, despite being fully recovered. She clarified that they are coincidentally going in the same direction, and she isn't following him around. Akira warns that he won't protect her, and she assures him that she can take care of herself. They enter the boss's room, and the dragon attacks them. Akira conceals himself and flanks the dragon, while Amelia immobilizes it with gravity manipulation. Akira goes in for the finisher, but the dragon smacks him away. Amelia points out that the dragon can sense his mana, so she advises him to diffuse it into the surroundings. Akira doesn't have such an ability, so he decides to go with another strategy. He uses his shadow skill to distract the dragon, and he attacks its weak spot. The dragon falls to the ground and begins to glow, engulfing the room with a white light. The light fades, and the dragon turns into a big black cat. Amelia appraises it and realizes it is still alive. She also finds out it has a shapeshifter class, which means it is not a real dragon. She suspected this because a real dragon won't go down so easily. Akira figures out she is using her world eye to get this information from the cat. Amelia wonders why he doesn't use his more often, and Akira confesses he is too weak to control it. Akira speculates he has to level it up more before he can gain the ability to control it. Amelia advises him to use it more often, even if he can't control it, so he can feel comfortable with it. The cat regains consciousness and expresses its disappointment because it was taken down by a bunch of kids with no adventuring experience. Akira is surprised the cat can talk. The cat reveals it is an intelligent animal made by the Demon Lord, not an average monster that acts on instinct. Akira scolds the cat for thinking so high of itself when it is in such a vulnerable situation. The cat doesn't care about what Akira can do to him, but asks for a few minutes to announce the Demon Lord's message to them. The Demon Lord speaks through the cat and orders Akira to head to Volcano, which is the land of demons. He reveals he will be waiting for him in his castle. Akira is surprised the Demon Lord actually knows him. He wonders how the Demon Lord knew they would be in the labyrinth. The cat confesses he has no idea because the thoughts of the Demon Lord are beyond his pea brain. He lies down on the floor with relief because he has finished his job. He accepts death from Akira's hand willingly, but Akira refuses to do it. The cat reminds Akira that all demons are the enemy of humans, so he isn't expected to be merciful. Akira replies he doesn't care about that and points out demons aren't the only species that can be evil. Amelia reminds him they can't leave the room except the boss or the challenger is killed. The cat insists Akira kill him, but Akira refuses because he loves cats. He especially likes the black cat because it has a fine coat, and he can communicate unlike other monsters. The cat assumes Akira is mocking him and tries to make him stop. But Akira stands by his words. He is certain there is another way out, and Amelia suddenly gets an idea. She points out that if he makes the black cat his familiar, it will cease to remain as the labyrinth boss. The cat points out it isn't practical because the ritual for the pact demands exceptional mana control. He writes off Akira because he doesn't think he is experienced enough to master such mana control. Amelia is certain Akira can pull it off since he already fooled the cat once with his environmental mana control. Akira wonders what will happen if he fails, and the cat answers that both of them may die. Akira decides to take the risk, but Amelia expresses concern because he may be throwing his life away so easily. Akira insists he has made his decision. The cat accepts Akira's decision because he doesn't care if he lives or dies. Akira is pissed off because the cat is not bothered about staying alive. and the cat points out it knows it won't be useful even if he remains alive. Akira asks for the ritual procedure, and Amelia directs him to start by giving the cat a name. Akira places his hand on the cat and names him Knight because of his beautiful dark fur. Amelia tells him to place his hand on Knight's paw and channel his mana into him. She warns him to be careful because he won't get another chance if he fails. Akira assures her he won't die. He follows her instructions and places his hand on Knight. His spirit gets transported into Knight's mind, and he finds himself falling into a town ravaged by fire. He spots Knight going berserk in the town and calls out to him to stop his rampage. Knight turns to him and shoots a fireball at him. Akira blocks most of the damage but gets cut on his shoulder. He lands on a roof across from Knight and gets back to his feet. Knight orders him to draw his sword and kill him, because there's no other way to get out of his mind. Knight swings his paw and releases an energy beam that destroys the building Akira is standing on. Akira jumps into the air to avoid going down with the building, but Knight strikes him with his open paw. Akira's body in the real world reflects the injuries. Knight's attack leaves marks on his ear. Akira throws some knives at Knight, and Knight is convinced he is finally ready to fight. Akira rushes at Knight. Knight extends his claws to defend himself, but Akira allows himself to get stabbed intentionally. Knight wonders why Akira insists on letting him live instead of killing him and getting a free way out. Akira points out he won't kill Knight because he knows Knight doesn't want to kill him either. Knight reminds him he is a monster, but Akira doesn't mind. He knows Knight is sick and tired of living like one. He promises to look after him and keep him in check so he doesn't wreak destruction like he did in his memories. Knight transforms into a house cat and curls into Akira's arms. Akira returns to the real world, and Amelia rushes to his side to make sure he is okay. Akira sits up and touches Knight. The brand on Knight's head transforms to match the pack symbol on Akira's hand. Knight regains consciousness and expresses his enthusiasm about what the future holds for both of them. A teleportation circle suddenly appears, and Knight is relieved their idea worked. Akira is eager to leave but knows Knight can't move yet, so he wonders what to do. Knight reveals the circle won't disappear until it is used, so he asks for a few minutes to rest and recover. Amelia suggests they use the time to get to know each other. Knight agrees so quickly that Akira teases him for being so friendly when he was playing hard to get just seconds ago. Meanwhile, the other heroes arrive at Yamato. Tsukasa is surprised because he never expected the rumors of the town's existence to be true. Yuki is eager to explore the town because she is already in love with it. They get accommodation and change into fresh clothes. The girls join the boys at the dining table and they start eating lunch. After lunch, Tsukasa suggests they discuss the progress of their quest. He points out they are running low on funds, so they need to find work quickly. Rintaro suggests they can work as adventurers. He is certain there is a guild nearby where they can register because they passed by some adventurers on their way. Tsukasa is satisfied with his suggestion. He brings up another point of discussion. They need information since they don't know much about this new world. Rintaro suggests they talk to as many people as they can and read any books they find about the world. Waki doubts they will find a book explaining how they can return to the previous world. Tsukasa reveals their best chance to return to their world is to defeat the Demon Lord, just like the king ordered. Kyosuke wonders why he is so sure, and Tsukasa reveals they can negotiate with the king and princess as heroes if they fulfill their obligations. He concludes they will set out to find the Demon Lord once they gather enough money, but Kyosuke disagrees with his plan. He suggests they need to meet up with Akira because he is far stronger than any of them. Kyosuke is certain Akira will find them and help them take down the Demon Lord because they won't be able to do it themselves. Rintaro agrees with Kyosuke, but Waki reminds them that Akira is the prime suspect in Commander Saran's murder. Kyosuke waves off his suspicions because they were deceived by the princess's curse. Yuki doubts Akira will agree to go with them because he was executing his own plan even when they were together in the castle. Shiori asks Tsukasa to decide since he is the leader of their party. He thinks for a minute and agrees with Yuki. Tsukasa is certain Akira won't team up with them because he doesn't even recognize him despite being his classmate since kindergarten. Kyosuke agrees that Akira is a loner who doesn't like teamwork. Tsukasa reveals they will have to trust in their coordination to take down the Demon Lord, since he is the only one in possession of the Holy Sword that can defeat him. He knows they will hold Akira back if they choose to team up with him, but he wants to get strong enough to make it happen. He concludes they will wait for Akira and Yamato as long as there are monsters in the area they can use to hone their skills. Everyone agrees with his plan, and he orders them to get to work. Back at the cave, Amelia recounts what happened to her before she met Akira. She reveals how she was banished from her homeland and managed to escape elf hunters that wanted to kill her. She fell into the sea and was swallowed by a huge slime when she washed ashore. The next time she opened her eyes, she met Akira. Knight is surprised she got swallowed by a slime because they don't usually swallow elves. He is even more surprised she survived being digested. Amelia reveals she is grateful to the slime because she would have never met Akira if it didn't swallow her. Amelia's homeland Akira insists she has to return to her hometown and set things straight with her people. But Amelia reveals she doesn't have a home anymore. Akira is certain she can discuss with her sister, but she insists things will never work. He understands her reason because he has a little sister just like her. Akira recalls when he got her a new phone because her old phone had a cracked screen. Yuri scolded him for taking extra jobs and losing sleep just to get her a gift she didn't ask for. Their mother walks in on their conversation and they are both surprised because she shouldn't be moving around so much. She assures them she is fine. Their mother explains to Yuri that Akira only got her the phone because he loved her enough to think about her well-being. Yuri tries to act tough but decides to overlook his error and accept the gift. Akira explains it is normal for families to have quarrels, but it never breaks their connections to each other. He expresses his desire to return to his world to see his family again, but reveals he has to avenge Saran's death first. His bloodlust is so intense that it scares Amelia. Knight goes over to console her and warns Akira to keep his feelings in check. He apologizes for getting carried away. Akira decides to make up for it by playing with Knight like he did with the stray cats in his neighborhood. Knight insists he is not like the strays, but Akira doesn't pay him any attention. He buries himself into Knight's soft coat of fur, and Knight scolds him for being so silly. Knight reminds him that if one of them dies, the other will also lose their life because of their pact. Akira is aware of this condition, but doesn't mind it because he can communicate with Knight in his mind, no matter how far apart they are. Amelia is jealous of Knight because Akira is closer to him than he is to her. After resting, they gather around the teleportation circle. Akira asks Knight where the circle leads to, and Knight admits he doesn't know. He points out only a few demons can create and operate magic circles. Akira makes a mental note to get the demons to make him a personal teleportation circle after he defeats the Demon Lord. Amelia reveals she heard blue teleportation circles take the user to wherever they want, but if multiple people use it, it only responds to one user. Akira doesn't like that condition because they won't be sure of their destination if they all use it at the same time. She reveals she doesn't mind where she ends up, as long as she remains with him. Akira is convinced by her answer, so they all step into the circle. He considers using the circle to return home but dismisses this idea because he doesn't want to return under his present conditions. They get teleported to the first continent, which is the land of the elves. Akira is pleased with the distance they covered, but Amelia is having a panic attack because she didn't want to return so soon. A hunter suddenly shoots an arrow at her from the forest, but Akira reacts fast enough to push her out of the way. The hunter fires another arrow, but Akira counters with his throwing knife. He closes the distance and threatens to take off the hunter's head if he fires another arrow. Amelia and Knight rush over to meet up with him. She recognizes the hunter as Liam. He reveals the continent is no longer her home because she isn't recognized as their princess anymore. He warns her to remain on the run, but Akira knocks him out because he has had enough of his loud mouth. Amelia thanks him, but he reveals there's nothing to thank him for because they are surrounded. She looks around the forest and spots dozens of hunters aiming their arrows at her. Kiliko walks out of the forest and vows to make her pay for her crimes. She won't allow her to escape with her life like the last time. Akira realizes he was wrong about families because the feud between the sisters is far more serious than he ever imagined.